Yo, what's good with you? It's your boy Reggie Wells. No Smiles Allowed Entertainment, Power Rich Media. Welcome back to Dayroom Talk. Yesterday, I aired episode 1, and it was about leadership, right? Do you take this type of intuition, seed of aura that possesses the ingredients of being a gatekeeper under any circumstances or surroundings that you may be introduced into or having to go through trials and tribulations? So, me, myself, per se, as y'all know, I did 30 years in the federal system at the age of 21. I just was released 2 years ago again for an unfortunate situation just because of relationships, right? And the thing that I want to explain, being in a situation and having to grow up in a system that's very dark, that myself and I believe others that done a substantial amount of time can attest to point out certain fiction and fictional situations that, we saying like, yo, listen, we don't verse this with this, or we don't conduct ourselves on an ABC mannerism to even be indulging in this type of act with you type of individuals that's trying to chase this type of disposition that's a burden of conviction on you and your family and your future. So take a moment and
So just don't even feed into that. You feel me?
Do you trust anyone in there?
Out of everybody in there, if I could say I trust someone, I'll say Smiles. I'll say Smiles. It's like Smiles has good characteristics and he moves based off principles. A lot of people don't move off principles. They just doing things without a proper reason why. And he's not one of those people, and I'll say I trust Smiles.
what's up? This your boy RW, Reggie Wells, CEO, No Smiles Allowed Entertainment, Power Rich Media. Salute to my little bro, Cheeky Dog, and the upperclassmen. You know what I mean? Love is love, to be safe. I want, all y'all to know, man, just protect yourself, be safe. Watch your company. I'm back in this nasty joint for an unfortunate situation, going to a friend house, to a cookout, towards investigation, and these government just profile you because they assume all African Americans, regardless if you're saying something or if you got a handshake, that is some type of criminal activity. But also just watch your conduct because you never know what nobody got going on. You got a prior criminal history, they could pull you right in. So this is the unfortunate situation that I'm going through right now. But I want everybody to know love is love. Be safe, pay attention to life. And when you get older, you got to protect yourself. You know what I mean? And just be safe and love your kids and your family. One, salute.
Hello, Noah.
Hello, Sheriff Paula Dance. How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning.
Sheriff Dance, so nice to have you on iHollywood TV. So first off, you are the first African-American female sheriff in North Carolina. Tell me your plans leading the charge for changes in the prison system.
Absolutely. When I first won in 2018, I ran on a platform of change for people with mental health issues and the co-occurring substance use abuse, poverty, those types of things. Because I recognize with all my years of experience that these are the people who find themselves criminally justice involved. These are the people who keeps coming through the revolving doors of recidivism. And I wanted to address that issue. I don't believe in throwing people away, and I think people make mistakes, and they ought to have an opportunity, to correct those mistakes. Now, after they've been held responsible and accountable for whatever it was that brought them into detention in the first place. But we ought to be giving the people the tools. And so when I came in, that's exactly, I hit the ground running, started programs that address substance use, that's addressing mental health, that's addressing trauma, and oftentimes trauma bring, people into the criminal justice arena. and just just addressing recidivism as a whole, reentry, because I want people to be better. I want people to do better, and most importantly, I want people to stop coming to jail.
You know, one thing that I admire so much about you, Sheriff Dance, is you want to actually teach these inmates to not come back to prison. And you say that in the season 8 premiere episode. I think that's a really powerful thing to say. That's something great to actually hear from a sheriff that actually cares. They want the inmates to learn while they're there and how they can prevent from coming back to jail, which I think is a really important thing. Can you talk to us more about that?
Well, it's important to me because I recognize that everybody wasn't born on third base. Everybody didn't grow up in an environment that a lot of us grew up in. And sometimes we just have to work a little bit harder, as we navigate our way through this thing called life. And some people just don't have or never had the resources or the, the tools to do that. And so what I aim to do, is to give them those tools that will help them be successful. For instance, I've brought in the GED program inside of the detention center. And so when people leave, they're leaving now with GEDs, they're leaving now with connections to resources within our community, untapped resources that have been sitting there for years. And so now I use those resources. Now, when a person leaves the detention center and those doors open, there are those resources to pull them the rest of the way, whether it be through housing, whether it be through other avenues that are here in the community. Let's use them. That's what they're meant for. They're not meant to just sit there. And I certainly aim to use every one of them that I can, because it's not about me. It's about making people well, making people whole, and giving people the resources that's going to help them to do better.
Now, Sheriff Dance, just out of curiosity from doing this series, what were some of the most common drugs that you were able to find with the participants going undercover that we can catch and watch in the show this season?
Well, I'm going to let you watch the show and let you see that. I don't want any spoilers, but you will see from the very beginning that there are some things that's going on in the detention center. But I don't want to give anything away. I want to make sure that you stay interested and watch the show.
Yes, we'll definitely have to tune in and watch the entire season of Season 8. Now, Sheriff Dance, we will see the men in the pods with inmates that have violent charges. How high of a risk is it for a participant to possibly get hurt, but how important is it for them to not reveal themselves in the pod?
Well, both are important, and there was a selection process. I actually had an opportunity to do some training with the participants that came in, and these were things that I wanted them to know before going in. They knew what the risks were, and to have that follow-up question: can you do this? Are you ready? Are you sure? And if they can convince me that they were, then we were good to go. They had a mission. They knew what my expectations were. Those participants already had their perception of what they wanted to see as change, and so we kind of commingled the two, their perception of what they wanted to do, my mission of what I wanted. So we both, entered into this show to accomplish that.
Now, lastly, Sheriff Dance, when you watch the first episode and hear some of the issues that are going on inside the women's pod, what is your take and reaction to that when the women are complaining of the staff as they're told to drink water from the toilet? What?
Well, you have to recognize, and I've been in this business a long time, you have to recognize that inmates will say a lot of things that if they're not comfortable, and I don't want people to be comfortable, but I can assure you they're not drinking out of toilets. Let me make but jail is not supposed to be comfortable. I don't want you to want to come to jail. I want you to stay out of jail.
Yeah. Well, Sheriff Paula Dance, thank you so much for your great conversation. We are out of time, but 60 Days In Season 8 premieres Thursday, June 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Pacific on A&E. Sheriff Dance, you take care. You have a great day, and we will be watching Season 8.
Thank you.
Yeah, what up? It's your boy Reggie Wells, No Smiles Allowed Entertainment, Power Rich Media. On Dayroom Talk today, we're going to talk about Sheriff Paula Dance. And it's several lawsuits that been effective to dealing with the conditions of Pitt County Jail. As we know, Sheriff Paula Dance was the first African-American sheriff in Pitt County.
Twenty-six-year-old Kayla Villanueva is suing Sheriff Paula Dance, with the lawsuit being filed on Thursday. Villanueva was a pretrial inmate being held at the detention center during the filming of 60 Days In. In the lawsuit, it is shown that a release was signed to appear on the show, but Villanueva claims her constitutional rights were violated by being filmed during a psychological crisis. According to the lawsuit, Villanueva suffers from major depressive disorder and bipolar disorder. In the show, Villanueva could be seen attempting to harm herself. The complaint claims she lacked the capacity to consent, even though Villanueva signed the release. Back in 2025, Sheriff Dance did an interview with News 12, where she spoke about the process.
I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be, putting inmates in a position where, but it's public record for people who are in jail anyway, and many of them had to sign releases if they didn't want to be in the show. Sometimes you would notice the face kind of blurred out.
Even with a signature on the release, the lawsuit includes these 5 claims shown on the screen. Now, Villanueva is asking for a jury trial and more than $25,000 in damages. In response to the lawsuit, the sheriff's office stated, quote, "Our office was made aware that a former inmate with a substantial, publicly available criminal history would possibly file a lawsuit in the near future." Looking at court records, Villanueva was charged with felony larceny, eluding arrest, several felony probation violations, as well as other felony charges. In Pitt County, I'm Chris Young with News 12.
Can do to you. And this is 60 minutes, and all money is not good money. If you into politics, politicians, and you're a sheriff, you're supposed to do the right thing, but you did something crooked. You know why? It's because of the dollar, the price of a dollar. And that's bad. You know why? Because you're a sheriff. You took an oath and you lied about people that have mental health conditions. And not only that, reformatory. What reformatory? In Pitt County? You can't be shitting me. Oh, this is exclusive. Oh, you know who I am. Oh, man, just look at the remedy process. Out of all the defendants that ever been in Pitt County, I am one of the best that ever been there. You know why? Because litigation is key. You go do your due diligence. You'll see how many grievances I filed. Why ain't no law library? Why we can't get our mail on time? Why we not eating properly? Why we eating dirty cold cuts that you had in the basement for 46 months? Why is these kids from 17 to 21 been in here all this time for murders and they still don't have a GED? But you promote, you got all this reformatory. Why you gotta, oh my God, you can't be making this up. You got lawsuits now. Do you remember and what you told this young woman that was praising you for being a sheriff, that you was doing this, that, and the third? So now you're on the plate. I told you, I'm never about suing you guys. Where my interview? You know why y'all didn't expose my interview? Because of 2 things. Because of my character. Because what I stand for in a belief is either get down or lay down. And due to the conditions, you know that those inmates or defendants that's in there that's in there are not fighting for what need to be fought for. They're not gonna indulge in things that we know that it's gonna get you fired, gonna get you exposed, gonna get lawsuits. These young kids is on opioid drugs, all type of things. And you played on their mentalities. Not only like the women. As a woman, you should have been flushed down the toilet at birth. Because you treated them women with so much deceit, malice, hate, disgust that for the love of God, us men that was in there, man, we felt their pains. How can you open the doors for us and don't open the door for a woman that got kids that create and produce life? And you the first African American that been put in a seat of deceit against your own pigmentation. But see, deep down inside, you're not one of us. Because if you was, you would have catered to each one of them pods and each one of them units who had control of them units and said, listen, what can I do effectively to save these young men? And what you did was oppress them just like all this other shit. Everything is gang, gang. So that's why we on Dayroom talking. This is what we talking about. And, you know, and I told you, I'll never sue you. I'm just going to expose y'all because if you'd have put on there what I was talking about, it would expose Pitt County. But what A&E did, along with Rachel and them, that was producers of that show, y'all went in a different direction. The language that I was talking, that's what everybody run from. And y'all know I was talking that talk. I'm sitting there telling you what I produced. I got books, how I was misidentified, forced arrested, and then got pulled back in. And y'all did not aid and assist, but what y'all want to aid and assist is me to promote degeneracy. That we in there using drugs. We in there still committing all type of menace to society within confinement. So when you go to get sentenced and the judge said, what you did in 46 months that you've been in there, and they see that you got a list of 100 infractions of all violence, drugs, insulin, you do not have a GED, you do not have any other vocational trades or anything to benefit me, for me to be a judge to say that I'm going to cut your time 40-something months because you're programmed in there and you wasn't, how can I say this, committed, or you didn't sell yourself short amongst a group of individuals that got to do their own time to get more time. You did this. You wouldn't receive the GED. You took this type of certificate or whatever they was offering within this program that Sheriff Paula Dance is claiming that she had. And that's not the case. You know why? Because there's nothing to introduce but hate. Disrespect amongst civilians and criminals who's trying to find a way to get some understanding, because we do not talk to our lawyers. They do not come visit us. The only type of form of communication that law enforcement want from lawyers to anybody, you have to be providing some type of form, substantial assistance. And that's crazy.
You rewind this, manifest behind this. This year I lay the smack down, things change. Make them a target at my gun range.